Got it.
Okay. Grant, the main thing would probably be get the pleasantries out of the road, and then we'll get on to the financial side of things, and then I'll do my executive report.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today at the moment. Let's start off with I guess, getting a list of everyone I see on the board who's currently in the room. So Ricardo.
Yes, here.
Matt.
I am here.
Bill.
Here.
And I am here. I guess that makes us for now. We have had a comment from Avi saying he'll be a little late, and hopefully Vandana will join us shortly. We also have the new members of the board, of the oncoming board, present. I see Steve, and I see Kevin, and I see Sam, and of course Avi, who's not here just yet. We also have a number of guests. Andrew, would you like to introduce our guests, and then we can go straight into?
Yeah. Hi. We've got Sarah, Chris, and I believe Leah. Leah. From Charity CFO. They're here to update us on the progress of the actual handover, and also to, if there's possibility of it, October's preliminary financials, if that's possible. But main thing is nope.
I emailed you that's more like next week.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we'll have an update on that.
Okay, so is that Sarah?
So because I will roll off in the next week, I'm gonna let Chris introduce herself and Leah and talk a little bit about your process going forward, and then I'll summarize where we are onboarding and statements, and so Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Hello, it's really nice to meet all of you. I'm very excited to be working with you, as we all are. So my name is Chris Barbeau, and I will be your new CFO, and be reviewing all of your financials on a monthly basis and answering any questions and troubleshooting. We'll be meeting at board meetings or regularly on a monthly basis. And we're very excited to be working with you. I know you've been working with Sarah from our onboarding team for some time now, and she has wrapped up all of her magnificent work and left us in a great place. So we're officially in the next, well, right now we're kind of in the middle of the process of transitioning you from the onboarding team to my team, and will be your permanent go-to financial experts for the foreseeable future. So I will be functioning as your CFO, and I wanted to also introduce you to Leah Hudson Wilson. She is a senior accountant on my team. She's wonderful, and all of her clients adore her, as you will as well, I'm sure. She will be handling all the day-to-day functions. I know she's been working closely with Dawn and with Andrew to this point, and also with Sarah to get us up to speed. But Sarah will be transitioning kind of off as the onboarding process wraps up, and Leah and I will be your main point of contacts moving forward. I think it's safe to say the onboarding process is at this point complete. It is in final review here at the Charity CFO. We have several levels of quality assurance and review for all of our clients. So we're just in final review here to make sure that everything is aligned and in place for a smooth transition. And I know that Sarah will be providing October reports to you. You can expect them sometime next week. The delay in the October reports is really due to us waiting for the audit to be wrapped up and making sure that we have all the changes in process reflected in the October report and approved by the auditor. Mostly those were changes in accounts receivable and the deferred revenue process. So we made updates to those processes. I know the audit went well, and We have a wrap-up meeting with Jeannie next, later this week. So, we're able now to finalize the October reports. I think you're going to find them, and Sarah can speak to this, but they're going to be much closer to a cash basis reporting, which I think it was your goal as well. So, just not deferring the revenue and doing away with the accounts receivable, is going to improve your monthly reporting. I think you'll be very happy with the changes that we've made. Let's see.
So you want me to jump in and, well,
Sure. I mean, I just want to, so
Yeah.
after Sarah delivers your October reports, your monthly reporting will be transitioned to again, your permanent team, which is Leah and myself. So Leah will be your main point of contact and kind of answering all correspondence moving forward. And I'm always available for any kind of oversight or high level questions that you might have. I think our first course of action after we kind of conclude this onboarding process is a budget for fiscal year 24. So I'll be reaching out very soon to schedule a time to kick off that process with y'all. And yeah, if you have any questions specifically about what it's going to look like moving forward, or services that we can provide or what we can help you with, please feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, Sarah, do you want to just kind of let us know where we are with onboarding and kind of wrapping everything up on that end?
right. Sort of picking back on what Chris said. So just for the new members, you transition out from virtual outsource accounting to charity CFO. If I understand it, you know, you ended up with Anders as your auditor, the Jeannie D, your partner at Anders, works very closely with us. We have about 30 plus common clients. So she referred you guys to us. We looked at the accounting piece, worked closely with Jeannie from Anders, Andrew, and Dawn to really look at your processes. And one of the big things was it was hard to really understand where you were in terms of profitability, because we had the corporate supporters, that annual membership being booked as a deferred revenue and amortized over a 12-month running basis. When we looked at that for the GAAP accounting, we viewed that, well, mainly Anders, your auditors, viewed that revenue piece as really recognizing it upon payment. So what that's going to do is really move you to, yeah, so, you know, in one fiscal year, you truly know that you've received cash of, I don't know, I'm just picking a number of like 400,000 of annual corporate supporters. And that's the process Kelly manages. So that you're not going to see an accounts receivable that, you know, is hard to actually monitor in terms of what's a, you know, what's a commitment, what's a quote, what's that. So it's really going to bring you down to what's cash in the bank. So that revenue piece is going to be recognized. In terms of your events, you're going to see much better profit and loss on the events, because we're going to be tracking those events by using a customer field. So we're going to be running P&Ls for all your top events. And we've already started coding the revenue piece, the expense piece. Dawn has been amazing and working with Leah in our accounts payable to really code them accurately. We can run P&Ls for the events in 2023. However, bear in mind, we were not responsible for your full year accounting. We moved what pieces we could identify. So I would, when you you know, the P&Ls for 2023's events, take them with a grain of salt. And really, as I said, when you move accounting firms, it's an investment in the future. So the goal is really to give you highly accurate 2024 P&Ls by events. In terms of the deferred revenue for the events, we're recognizing, we're only deferring the revenue when it crosses a calendar year. So come 2024, all those events, you're going to see revenue booked on your profit and loss, not in the balance sheet. So again, this is really going to give you a reflection of, are you in the plus, or you're in the minus? So what held us up in getting the October statements was finalizing that 2022 audit, because they've made these changes retroactively to 2022. So I had to wait for them closing out there and moving on to us. I will tell you, you're in a very healthy position. You currently have over $2 million in the bank. 2023 looks very profitable. I think your DC event went amazingly well. And financially, it looks really quite, again, just with the limited number of information we have, it looks profitable. So that said, our reports are in final review here. We'll be meeting with Andrew and Dawn later next week. We'll get them out to you, and then you'll resume your cycle in November, where Leah and Chris will be reporting on a timely basis every month.
Yeah, so you will receive your November financial reports mid-month and in December, and we'll be on that schedule moving forward.
So
Our
any questions we can ask?
Our due date to you guys is the 15th of every month, or the Monday, the first business day following the 15th of the month on a regular basis. We take that deadline very seriously and work really hard not to miss it. That being said, the first few months, we might if we run into any delays, we're going to really strive for accuracy. So if any questions arise or anything that we're unsure of, there could be a few days delay in the first couple of months, but I don't anticipate that at all.
So Sarah, my question would be, when you say deferring revenue when it crosses a calendar year, so you're saying on January 1st, 2024, the deferred revenue for Lisbon and San Francisco will be recognized.
Right. And then throughout 2024, we'll be recognizing it as we're booking it.
Okay.
So it just makes it easier for you guys to keep track of, right? So you're not going to have to flip back between the balance sheet and the P&L, right? It's going to be real apparent.
Yeah, and I think Sarah has, as she mentioned, she's put us in a great place with tracking the profit and loss by event. That should be very accurate in 2024 and be a really good look at where we stand on each event.
Right. Okay.
Does the rest of the board have any questions for the team?
So I just want to note that the audit has brought up things that our previous auditors never brought up. So we have an audit meeting tomorrow. Grant, you've got an invitation, but I do realize it's quite late for you. And Bill, I hope you can be there, so we can actually get the readout and find out what's in the management letter.
It is one of the items on the agenda today. Well, thank you very much, Sheriff, for the feedback. Chris, welcome on board as our VCFO, and Leah, I look forward to working with you, at least for the portion of the year that I'll still be on the board for. Welcome to the team.
All right.
Yes, we're very glad to be working with you, and we will be on that audit call tomorrow as well. So, yeah, and if anything comes up, we are your team, so feel free to reach out if there's anything you need or any questions arise after this call or from the remainder of your meeting. We're happy to help you with anything we can.
Mhm.
Excellent, thank you. I think, Chris,
Aye.
our next board meeting is on the 19th. So, you know, if we have the results by the 15th, that'll be useful because we can read them before the actual meeting itself. 19th of December, I think, is the next.
You're 19th of December, correct?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
It's
Sorry,
slightly
not October, not November.
It's slightly early because of the Christmas holidays.
Right.
Um, Okay.
Before you dive in, Andrew, I realized I went straight to introduce the new joiners to the board call. Just a quick note on the conflict of interest and the antitrust statements. There'll be topics discussed this evening. If you're sorry,
Do you
yeah?
mind if we drop off? Well, I'll drop off.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Unless
you.
there's something specific you need them for still, Andrew. The
No.
board had the opportunity to ask questions. I think we're all happy.
Okay, great. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you all. All right.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Bye-bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you very
Be
much.
safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Just a note, Dawn, Avi has now joined us. He is currently screen off or camera off because he's driving back from where he was.
True.
Hopefully he'll be camera back on so we can enjoy his lovely face shortly. Going back to the conflict of interest and antitrust statements, there may be topics discussed during the course of this board meeting. If you have a conflict of interest in any way, shape, or form, or you think you might have a conflict of interest, please raise it. Dawn is about to ask a question, I think, of our new board members.
I'm waiting for all the paperwork for everyone for 2024. I did get a bunch of them. I don't have all of them. Once I have all of them, I will, because they're in the team drive. Andrew has to go through them before
January's call.
the next board meeting.
Well, before January's call.
Yes.
So the reason for that is you'll be party to discussions, and we need to be aware of any affiliations you might have, which may affect your view on particular discussions. Having a conflict doesn't mean you cannot participate. Having a conflict doesn't mean you cannot vote. It just means that we need to be aware of it as a board, that there may be a conflict that exists. So making it obvious, making it clear, please do that, because otherwise it leads to very unfortunate circumstances that we've experienced recently. And then I'll move on to the approval of the minutes, the October 2023 minutes. And I will start with Ricardo.
Can we get one change in there, please?
Absolutely.
His name is spelt wrong.
My name is spelled wrong. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Machado.
Thank
I
you.
noticed that today from Matt. Is that okay if I go in and change things after you vote, Matt?
Yeah, that's fine. I can make
Okay.
a change too, or you can, whichever. Yeah, I'm actually removing H's from my notes today.
Yes. I will fix it and fix it, Matt. Yeah, I'll fix the minutes after the call.
Okay,
today.
so Ricardo,
you
given
very much.
the alteration to the notes, are you happy with the notes at this point?
Yes.
Perfect. Matt, how do you feel about the notes?
Good, except for the fact that I gratuitously gave Ricardo an H.
Bill, how do you feel about it?
My name's spelled correct. Yes.
And Avi, any comments on the notes, or are you happy to approve them of last board meeting?
You must still be driving.
Yeah, given that it's probably complicated for him to answer us, I will hold the vote there at this point. Dawn, you can mark me as abstain because I wasn't actually present for most of the meeting, and I haven't reviewed the video yet, so I don't know if the notes are correct, but I assume that they are.
Okay, Matt, you writing all that down?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
With that,
So-
Andrew, can you take us through the summary? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But was that what, 3 yeses then?
It'll be 3 yeses and whatever Avi decides. So we're at the moment, it's a pass.
Yeah, 3 yeses, 1 abstain, and probably a yes from Avi, but it's still a pass.
Yes.
I think you have to have at least 4 for it to pass.
Okay, Avi?
Well, I can't vote on the board, so there were only 5 members.
Avi's
No,
rejoined.
you still, I think, Grant, you still count as a member here. Even though you're abstaining, that's considered a
A vote.
vote. So that would be Avi would have to break the tie if, well, yeah. If,
Or
I think
Rhonda
Bill
now
is
she
right.
joins us.
Yeah, if not, we can re-vote on it next month.
I'm sorry, I missed what are we voting on?
The
The
minutes.
approval of the board minutes from last month.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
Nice and
Pass.
easy. 4 yeses.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. It's been a busy period of time with ABSEC DC and also in the process of hiring. We now have over 680 candidates, so I've closed the job. I don't want any more candidates. I'm going to be basically sifting through and trying my best to find no more than 10 people to interview. If the board has anybody that they wish to have interviewed, please pass them on. I always find recommendations from people who you know already generally of a higher quality than just random people from LinkedIn. So if you do know anybody who's interested in that role, it is the Director of Community Development with a focus upon fundraising, grants, and obviously community development. So if you think you've got someone who's good for that, please let's get going. The 990 has been submitted to the IRS. Well, I'm expecting to get the final public version, which I'll share with the board. I have a private version, which is in draft, which will not change. If the board wishes to see that, I can post it to the internal board list, and I'm happy to do that. The draft audit meeting is tomorrow afternoon. We've already talked about that just very briefly. I am expecting a couple of management findings, but it is a clean audit otherwise. Financially, we are clean. Okay, so there are some controls that are missing. In particular, the most important one is over the OWASP VZW entity. We don't seem to have good management controls over that. So I'm expecting that to be noted in the actual management letter. The DC sales tax issue. We have two very large bills and they are both subject to DC sales tax. We are trying to get exemption for DC sales tax. And so if we don't get that or they can't accept a post-dated tax exemption, we will be paying approximately 8.75% of both of those bills in tax. So I don't think it'll affect our profitability. I think we'll still be profitable, but minus 8.75% of our two largest bills. It is a substantial amount of money, probably in the order of approximately $35,000 to $45,000. So it's not something to just sneeze at, and we will continue trying to get that exemption. This is also one of the reasons why it's a good idea to make sure that we actually have the ABSEC USA in the same location year after year. This sort of stuff doesn't surprise us. It'll be sorted out for the next time that we're in DC, and I'll make sure we've got a Californian sales tax exemption before we do San Francisco. Okay. Similarly, we might need to do something for Lisbon, and I will make sure we follow up with that.
Just one question, Andrew. Is the 8.75%, sorry, is the 30,000 number you gave us, is that the 8.75%? Was it 8.75% of 30,000?
No, it's roughly, that is the amount roughly. I would, the bills are like $550,000. And so,
I can jump in real quick here. The catering bill alone, we're being charged $63,000 in tax.
Right. So quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we're not paying for rooms, we're paying for food and beverage. That's the way that most of the things work. But yes, it's a substantial difference if we can get that exemption through. I'd rather not give up $63,000 unless we've tried really hard.
Especially when we are a not-for-profit and the District of Columbia doesn't need our money.
Yeah, they actually have a special person for this. I've been trying to reach her for the better part of 2 weeks now. I will continue to try. Dawn, where's my mouse gone?
Okay, we kind of discussed both of these already. We started the onboarding process for the new board members. All the paperwork has been sent out. I've received some of it. I haven't received all of it yet back. And so everyone knows all our bills are now being processed through bill.com. So everything which we talked about with accounting. That's the major stuff. That's it.
So Sam, Kevin, and Steve, with the books that you've bought, just expense them. It's not a personal expense that you need to cover. Just expense them through the standard JIRA ticketing system and you'll get repaid. We are still working out MoneyCorp. I need to reapply completely to MoneyCorp to be able to pay our international bills, which will affect Sam. The problem is that if we pay them through chase.com, we will end up having sometimes substantial fees at the other end that we don't know the actual magnitude of when we send the actual international wire. And sometimes it's up to $30. And just adding $30 in the hope that it covers your bills when it might be less than that for some people or nothing. It's very difficult. It depends on the bank that you bank with as to the fee.
Also, we're gonna have to transfer funds into Chase because you're gonna have some bigger bills. Credit card
Okay.
bill is due, stuff like that.
Okay, so Bill, I'm going to transfer $1 million in the next week. I'll let you know what it is. Bandana is joining us. Okay, we've had finance, membership. We've had a change. Harold is now doing membership. We've had a small increase in numbers, up 13 since October of 2023. The biggest single drop is the 24 people decided to, looks like they became lifetime members, which is fantastic.
Hi, Andrew. Sorry for the delay.
That's fine. Thank you. I'll just note Bandana's arrival time is 10:33.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, my internet was very, very flaky. I was on the road.
Yep, no problems. I'm glad you're here. Okay, we've had a number of new chapters. Obviously, we're still receiving quite a few education chapters, which is good. As long as they do something, you might end up getting some complaints when the chapters get shut down because they haven't met. We can't have chapters that don't meet. So all chapters, when they start off, have 90 days to have a meeting. So I would like, I'll probably pop into the chapter committee. We need a way to bootstrap student chapters. This seems to be a very, very common problem with student chapters. And it takes time to start them up and it takes time to wind them down. It'd be better if they actually did some meeting. So if there's any sort of reason.
You will see starting next week, I'm going to start doing an inventory of chapters. So you will be seeing the numbers of the number of chapters drop. And really the chapters that are going to be shut down are the ones who haven't met like in a year and a half. So it's not, and there's going to be quite a bit of it, I think.
And just remember, it's not for ever. It's just they need to have some folks in the management team, leadership team of the chapter who are prepared to actually do the meeting. Like, for example, Colorado Springs has had 9 meetings this year with 40 people in each meeting. And we're a small regional town of 400,000 people. There's absolutely no reason that a chapter can't meet. If you've got active leadership, chapters meet.
And January, I'm hoping, well, it'll be towards the end of January just because of the holiday season. we're gonna reach out to certain areas and look for leaders. You know, some blog posts or different things, because there are some big cities, especially in the United States, that we no longer have active chapters, which is just a shame. We should, you know.
Grant, I saw that you came off mute before.
No, I was just going to underline what you were already saying, Andrew, that chapters need to be active. That means they need to have active leadership, and they need to have our support.
Absolutely.
But inactive chapters don't do anybody any good, because if you're in a city and you think you can go to an OWASP meetup, but there isn't one happening because they're not active, you should be the one activating one.
Yep. Sam.
I think it's going to be able to get picked up once we start reaching out to people, asking for leaders.
That's exactly my point, Don, because remember we talked about the OWASP NYC chapter. I reached out to Zoe, reminding her that, you know, that they haven't had any events, and they've already had an event, and they have 2 more scheduled by the end of the year. Why not? They will fit the criteria. They will have 3 events this year.
Yeah, I'll look over it, but I don't believe that's accurate information.
Oh. Anyway.
But yeah, I'll look it up when I go through it.
Okay, please do. Okay, moving right along. Meetup. Meetup is one of our largest single expenses. It's approximately $50,000 a year. So having chapters who don't meet is problematic. At the end of the day, basically, I don't mind spending $50,000 a year if we have active chapters. There's absolutely, it's on mission, it is program spending. And so therefore it's fine. But yeah, just to have something there to say that you're the leader of a chapter on your resume isn't necessarily the outcome that we want. Okay, projects and grants. We got Harold on the call. Harold, any notable grants, any notable movement with projects?
There aren't any major updates to projects. One of the only things I'd like to mention is that the project committee and myself continue to work on the project handbook. And we've also, at our last meeting, discussed changing some of the processes behind onboarding certain projects types, namely those that with standard or top 10 or ASBS or any of that in the title. As well, we are continuing with, I'm working with the events team to get a project summit for late next year, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, good. So this is the Cyclone DX CDX Gen. That's a substantial sum. How's that going?
It is continuing to be in the looking for funding process. Right now we have a person who's on the project committee who's helping try to find funding for these 2 big ones here.
Okay. Events. Kelly, the board was looking for some information about the DC. How has it gone?
So far, it looks like we're gonna have a profit of around 200,000. Some expenses are not in yet. We still are waiting for a couple, I think it's board flights. I know our room audit is being conducted now by the hotel. We are waiting for the taxes for DC to come back to get an answer on that. So right now, including if we have to pay the taxes, we're looking at $200,000 if our numbers are correct. Obviously, I'm sure that Charity CFO will be able to give us a more accurate number, but yeah, that's DC. Does anybody have any other questions regarding DC? No? Okay. And
just generally, what was the feeling of our sponsors? Were they happy with how DC went?
I did not receive one complaint after, during the event, yes, but that was obviously, Freeman setting up a booth incorrectly, furniture wasn't in the right place. That's beyond our control. No, I've heard great things about the event. Everybody's looking to sponsor next year. If I can get Hugo to get me the sponsorship document back, I'm ready to send contracts already for San Francisco. I've already started sending them for Lisbon. So it seems like there's a lot of interest. We're going to try our best to see if there's space in Lisbon for the startup area like we did in DC. We know that in San Francisco that we're going to be utilizing the room right outside the keynote room. It's kind of like a garden room, I guess you could call it. We're going to put startups in there. And I have to say that's one benefit of using the same venue over and over again is obviously familiarity of the space and know where else you can use throughout the hotel, what other space you have. So, but yeah, no, I have not heard any complaints from not one sponsor.
Avi.
Thanks. This is really interesting. It did seem like the major friction that we've had is around Freeman. I've heard complaints about that. I know you have both this time and the previous time. Is there any plan to deal with that issue?
It all depends. So when we were in San Francisco, Freeman, I know Denver's Freeman. I remember the Denver Global AppSec event. They were horrible because I was in the elevators with pallet jacks moving exhibitor stuff down. So I think it all depends on the area. DC, like I said, there was a couple of hiccups. I know Secure Flag was upset because their background was wrinkled. And then Arnica, because their couch wasn't in the correct location and the TV was on a stand rather than hung on their wall like they had sent in their diagram. And there was only, as far as I know, GitHub is the only company that had to file a claim, and it was a $200 claim for a missing box out of all of those exhibitors. So I have to say, for the amount of exhibitors, yes, we did have, a couple issues, but I don't feel like the amount of issues was anything really to worry about, considering the number of overall sponsors that we had or exhibitors.
Okay, so overall, you say like this is pretty trivial complaints, even though like the noise is just more whinging rather than actual complaints.
Yeah, I mean, they get upset, and Avi, you and I had talked about this. If they, had came in on Sunday night and checked their space, they wouldn't have had these problems on so but for the most part, like I said, which I feel is really good, like I said, considering the number of exhibitors that we had.
And as long as we're talking about this, are we happy with the price structure with them?
We are looking, there are other companies, I know even for like Lisbon, we have another company that we dealt with for used in Dublin. So we're looking at possibly not using Freeman and going with someone else over there. San Francisco, we're exploring other options right now. We don't have anything signed with Freeman for San Francisco. We still have some time, not a lot of time, but we do need to get that locked down, probably mid-January.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to really just get involved. I mean, it's really more tactical than strategic.
Yeah, no. Good
question. So I see that, first of all, I see the numbers are not quite updated because I understand we actually achieved our goal of 1,000 attendees.
Where are we looking? So this is, yeah, there's another slide. I think if you go down, Andrew, if you can, if you go to the DC slide, this should be the slide. So yeah, this number is not even updated either. That's strange.
I was going to say that's actually really good that we achieved the 1,000. However, the planning for the next year's DCs, they're also stated at 1,000. We strategically said that we want to raise that by a lot as part of the strategy planning. We want to increase that several fold. So it might be internally you have that, but the slide where we had, you know, the previous slide that we had was also 1,000 for the next 2 or 3 years.
If you want to go back. So that was something I know that you guys had talked about that in Amsterdam. And I had heard bits and pieces. We didn't get a debrief of anything. So like I said, I know I've heard bits and pieces that we want to have 8,000, and I don't know if that's even accurate.
I don't think it was 8,000, I think it was 4,000. But whatever. I mean, the specific number is not the point. That's more, you know, calling our shot, kind of big, hairy, audacious goal. But maybe we should have a discussion about that later with the non-existent events committee. But that goal definitely needs to be raising there.
No, we agree. Yeah, I have a feeling, obviously San Francisco, we've seen it in, you know, last year coming back from COVID. I can't see why we wouldn't be more like 1,500, maybe just, I don't know, 15 to 1,700. So, and working with this marketing company now too, hopefully we'll see, you know, we just started with them recently, right before DC. So they didn't have a lot of time to kind of help us with that. So hopefully we're going to see an increase in San Francisco and Lisbon too, but San Francisco here in the US, using them.
Yeah, I mean, if we throw up a goal of like, let's say 1,500 or 1,800, we're going to try and get there. The real question is how.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're going to try and get over that at least.
Yeah.
You always have to beat it. Try to beat it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
The official BHAG was 5x in 3 years. The limitations on how much the events can actually grow in the next 2 or 3 years are going to really be based on the venue. Because we are kind of tied into the venues as we are. But San Francisco, we can take more than one level, right? There's
Yep. We're going to be using, and that was, you know, I'm a little bit worried because I know in DC, the startup exhibitors, the ones that were out in the hallways and the corridors, they were perfect location. They were close to everything. San Francisco's not, there's no more room to put them downstairs where the regular main expo hall is going to be. So they are going to be upstairs, one level. So we'll see how it goes. You know, we'll try it and we can always improve. But that's the space that we're planning on using. I think they said that 22, I think was the number that we could get in there of startups.
Are we locked into the same space till 2026 for San Francisco?
Yes. We're alternating DC and then San Francisco.
I mean, the specific venue, like if we see next year, like we kind of maxed out the space.
Oh, no. Yeah, we have contracts signed, multi-year contract signed.
So if we want to grow beyond whatever the venue holds, we're kind of stuck there.
Yeah, well, if there's space available, obviously it'll come with a cost, but if there's space available for our dates, we can look, you know, into what that would look like.
both venues have got space for us to expand into.
Yeah.
But we need to plan for it and budget for it.
Exactly. And just make sure the rooms are available, the space is available.
Yeah. Vandana?
Bandana, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I was saying that I've checked with one of the college, which is MIT in Bangalore. They've said they're ready to give it, but they need that how many rooms they have, or like how many rooms they should provide us, and how many halls they need for the conference, because they need to get it approved from the dean. So if we have that information, they should be okay in providing us the venue.
Okay, this is for India.
This is for India because I want something. If you remember, we were talking about something in November in India in 2024.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, the Asia one.
Vandana, how about I'll connect with you over email after this call,
right?
And then we can look at what that looks like.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Let's do that.
Right.
Any other questions for Kelly on the events?
And with that, I'm going to hand back to Brent.
Thanks, Andrew. Do you want to bring up the Or should I just do it?
Uh,
Let me do it.
Yeah, you go for it.
This time I'm not trying to find the share button.
If it is missing, I can help. I can.
No.
I've got it ready.
It's all good.
Okay.
Okay, so that brings us to the new business. First item of new business was actually the financial year 2022 external audit update, which Andrew has already given us feedback on. The draft 990 is not yet published, so there is a link there. The link doesn't take you where you expect to find it. As soon as it is ready, Andrew will publish it to that link and update the link so that it does hit it. We've already had the Global AppSec DC update. Thank you, Kelly. I love the fact that we intend to grow massively as much as we can till we outgrow the spaces we're in, and then we sign multi-year contracts in much bigger spaces. The next item on the agenda is actually a membership price increase. There is no proposal, or there's no item for us to vote on here. This is going to be an open discussion. There has been a lot of back and forth on what this could look like or should look like, whether this should happen or not. I don't know which one of the board members would like to kick us off on this. There's been quite a bit of back and forth on it already. Is this proposal actually publicly linked, Andrew?
Yes.
So if I click on that publicly linked proposal, this is the proposed membership price increase. And you can see there's some conversations that are already happening in the document as well, including from next year's board members, which I'm very glad to see.
So one of the things that I would say is it's lovely to be able to have such cheap prices for our membership and getting it from the corporate members rather than from individual members. The problem is that we have this discussion almost every single year and we kick the can down the road. And then eventually we're going to get to a point where $50 is like the price of a McDonald's meal for one person. And then does it actually make any sense to even charge individual membership? So what I'd like to do is just simply say a price rise would be desirable. I've suggested 40% because that's the difference between the last time it was raised in 2010. But at the end of the day, basically, I can see some very strong opinions. Sam, you had some very good arguments. So do you want to just take us through your arguments?
Yes, that's right, Andrew. And actually, not just me, but if Kevin, as also you can see it on the screen, right? So Kevin contributed some of his thoughts as well. I just think that it's going to be very unfair to our members because 40% increase in 1 year. I understand that's a 40% increase since the last time we set the price, but most member salaries have not been increased by 40% since past year, and it's going to be very difficult to absorb such a sharp increase. You know, it's a very steep hike, I believe, and we'll need to really substantiate it if we really need to do it, what kind of costs have risen, and you know, if match it with the member benefits, which I'm not really seeing recently. And yeah, my suggestion is actually a proposal. See, I'm not a board member yet, will be from January 1st, is instead of backdating this increase, is actually start increasing it in line with CPI. So whatever is the inflation, so we will do the small CPI adjustments on a go-forward basis. And Kevin, I don't know if Kevin Van Nuymond propose, basically reply with his suggestion, but I totally agree with his opinion because he believes that low barrier to entry is actually a very good selling point for us, and that's how we can acquire more members. compared with other professional organizations in cybersecurity space, which have far more higher membership fees, but as a result, they don't enjoy the same level of community that we have. Sorry, Kevin, if you'd like to maybe continue this discussion.
No, no reason to apologize. But you represented what I said well. The only thing I would add, there's 2 points I would add to this, and one is I would point out the current calendar date and the date that we're proposing raising a price by 40% and announcing it to membership seems extraordinarily fast. I understand your point, Andrew, and I think it's very valid that we keep kicking this can down the road. The issue is we're a month and a few days from the proposed start of the increase. So even if we all said, yep, this makes sense, let's do this, which I do not believe I agree with, but doing it that fast is just going to anger a large number of membership. And my concern with that, beyond the price increase, beyond the fact that this is, in my opinion, more expensive than many people can spend, since we already hear that from people, we already have a membership level problem. It feels like we're removing benefits on a regular basis, feels like, and now we're going to increase the cost with no corresponding show of a reason. I'm not disagreeing that the cost is already low and we probably need to raise it at some level, but if we're going to say to people in just over a month you're going to have to pay us more, we have to be able to show why people should do it. And since we already fail at convincing most people from joining, I feel like that's a mistake.
Anybody else have something to add to that?
What does it cost us to have a membership?
Roughly our program costs, the staff member involved, plus the upkeep of our membership system, which is Harold's time. So realistically, now that it's all centralized on Harold, just think about it as it's sort of the opportunity cost of not having Harold work on something else. Avi.
2 things, Andrew, about what you were saying, but what is the incremental per member cost, not the total cost of membership?
Give me a tick. I'll work it out.
Like the Google account or something like that?
No, so our Google account. So there's no financial cost directly. It's all the membership management time rather than anything else. And ironically, Andrew, the best way to bring that number down is to quadruple the number of members without increasing the cost.
Well, we have, sorry, just so you know this, Grant, we have certain programs we have to pay for to do the membership. So there is some cost, so you know that.
Right, but those are fixed costs, right? Not incremental.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
So the amount of money that it costs us to run the membership at the moment is approximately $20.76 per user, per member. There are some additional costs there that I haven't included. This is just the back of the envelope calculation, but it's certainly less than $25, and it is profitable to have membership at the moment.
Avi, do you have more questions?
Yeah, so I just wanted to take what Sam and Kevin were saying, and I'm very vocally in agreement about that. So I just want to take this and turn it around. Instead of saying, we can't because we haven't shown value, I'd like to suggest that we take the first quarter of the year and find things that are substantial value and announce them towards the end of Q1 together with a raise in price. I don't think 40% is the right amount. As Sam said, it's kind of sudden, but maybe 15-20% raise from, I don't know, we're at 50 now, say raise it to 60 or something like that for the baseline price, together with additional value. What additional programs can we get? What additional partner benefits can we talk somebody into offering our members? And then present this together as we're raising prices with additional value, or better yet, the other way around.
But what's the point of having members? What's our goal? Is it fundraise or something else?
It is we are a membership organization. We would actually have to change our 501c3 status to become a non-member organization. So we need members.
I understand, but I'm just, but is the purpose of membership to just, I don't know, spread the word or to fundraise or?
Typically, typically it is to fundraise. It is actually a source of income for us that is considered a donation. And effectively, if you were a member of Rotary or another similar organization, you would be expected to fundraise. We don't leverage that at the moment, but we would like the average member to think about fundraising or donating time or in kind.
Yeah, there's basically two models out there that I've seen that tend to work. One is like the American Bar Association or IEEE. Their membership rates are high. They're like $250 a year or $125 a year, or whatever it is. It's because they're professional organizations that are, the members are professionals. They have ongoing continuing education and a whole bunch of other things that they offer to professional members. And because of that, because they're all employed and they're professional, they pay like this higher fee. The other model is like the Sierra Club model, where it's, they basically, you can join the Sierra Club for as little as, $10 or whatever it is, or you can join for $1,000. And they basically, it's the airline seating model where you try and get the most money from someone to still get them into the seat, right? So someone says $50 is too much. Oh, well, we'll take 35. Someone says, oh, I can pay 200. Well, we'll take 200. And then to entice them to the higher prices, obviously you offer different things like, oh, at this tier, you get a free tote bag, or whatever the equivalent is for us. But I'm just wondering which of those two models we would go after, because that would then, I think, determine like how we would proceed. And I like Avi's suggestion. We just tackle this in the new year.
We definitely need to tackle it in the new year. Sam?
Yes, Avi, I like your idea of course, we need to give more value, and delaying seems to be fair. In terms of costs, I have a suggestion. Why don't we review the costs and try to automate the human task? My understanding is, based on what Andrew just said, most costs are related to Harold's work, or basically it's a manual labor, which hopefully we can automate with more automation, new system, new technology, AI. Number two, in terms of the actual pricing, so I attracted quite a lot of members to OWASP in the past 8 years. Almost every single OWASP London chapter meeting, I sign up new members. One of the unique selling points seemed to be the fact that it gives people the Google workspace access, and it's actually cheaper to become an OWASP member to get an OWASP to get a Google enterprise access than to sign up for Google. So I think that should be a consideration. So if we raise our membership price more than that, we're going to say, oh, you also get a Google with this. But people say, well, hang on a minute, I can get Google for cheaper, right? Why should I become an OWASP member and get an OWASP.org email address in Google Workspace? It will no longer be seen as a viable benefit. So that's just something to consider to align costs with Google. And the next point I would like to make is we really should be increasing the corporate membership fees as well, not just individuals, because it seems to be very unfair if we are asking individual members. People are mostly developers, right? So a lot of people are paying this $50 out of their own salary, and their companies are not paying for them. So I don't see corporate. So if we are increasing individual, there should be a like-for-like corporate increase as well. And obviously some of the increase on the corporate can actually pay and subsidize the individual membership as well. And another point is in terms of course, Bill mentioned some of the professional associations, right? And I think about the professional associations, they grant something, right? So they grant a certification. So see the proposal that I want to bring to the board about introducing an OWASP certification. Then paying for membership will actually be paying for if you're a certified member. So there will be a two tiers, like a regular member and a certified member. Just something also to consider. Yeah, but I think the most point is basically A, we can try to lower costs with automation, and B, we should really be also increasing the corporate membership alongside individual one, and see how we can balance this out so corporate increase can cover most of the, absorb the individual price increase. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Avi?
Thanks, Sam. Not my comment. I just wanted to you know, I appreciate what you were saying about the corporate prices. That's absolutely true. I didn't understand what you were saying about the Google. Like, you can open a free Google account and get almost all the services for free to a lesser extent. So I didn't understand what you meant.
No, so basically, one of the benefits at the moment is the Google account, the OWASP.org email address, right? And my point is it should still be seen as a benefit, right? So if we increase the price to $70 and our members saying, well, the only real benefit I get from my membership is the email and Google Workspace, I can actually get the same thing from Google for $60 a year. That's what the current price is. Why should I pay more than that, right? So we need to be quite careful to balance it, not to to align it with Google pricing.
All right, gotcha. Thanks.
Because I know a lot of people sign up for OWASP.org email and become members and pay OWASP because it is actually they use the Google Workspace.
So that brings me back to my actual comment, which is more responding to Bill's question, because I think this is really core. Membership is not, yes, fundraising is important and that's good. We want to be covering costs and be profitable, but that is not why we need more members. The main reason, this is something that we actually talked about in Amsterdam, the main reason we want more members, it isn't just about getting the word out, it's to have a committed community, because we are a community, right? We need more people in it. We need more people contributing to it, whether it's by resources, and funding is good, but that's not what we need from the individual members. We need more community. This is basically our mission, to reach out to more parts of the industry, and we do this through the members. So I think this whole discussion is very important to keep that in mind. I would rather double our membership and reduce our prices rather than raise our prices and reduce membership. So I think it's just very important to keep in mind as well.
Thanks, Avi. Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of great suggestions, and I'm glad that we're bringing this up now. But I think we should kind of formalize something for the new year as well. Maybe give ourselves some time to come to the table with some more ideas and stuff. But I also wanted to mention that people look for value for the dollar, right? And as I see in the text on the screen right now, that dollar has changed since 2010. There's been inflation, and those costs are basically being absorbed by the foundation right now. So there's been a long period where nobody's had an increase. So to me, that's kind of a benefit, right? It's been so long. It's very tiny, 13 years, 14. Almost that, how many? 14 years, sorry, 14 years since, there's been an increase. So to me, that's been a benefit for 14 years of no increase in those fees. You should also consider, I'm a member of several other organizations with many more members than we have, and their fees are way higher than ours. And yes, they do offer other benefits, but compared to every other organization that I'm with, we're way down here. I don't know if you can see my hands or not, but we're not even close to the level of membership dollars that's required for those organizations. So I do think that being on that lower end does give us an advantage. And I do think that we have more value than just the Google stuff. We do have several other things that we offer in there as well. So all those things must be considered. And even so, we should find ways to further attract people with even more benefits. So that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to do while I was on the board here. And I hope that I can achieve that before my time is up. So I just wanted to add those two things, and I really want us to formalize this thing and make sure that we address this in the new year. I don't want to kick the can further down the road.
Except that we're not going to take a vote tonight on increasing the
Oh,
membership
no.
rates.
I further discussion.
Perfect. Okay. Any more comments? Any more? There are other individuals. Steve, you're here. Kevin, you want to jump into the conversation as well? You did get involved a little earlier.
I don't have anything else to add. I appreciate it. I got more information in this short conversation than I'd had previously. So thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Steven?
likewise. You know, the 40% is steep. You know, I think it was Avi who brought up the idea of 15 to 20%. I think that's reasonable. The one thing I don't like about what's here is that it's 40% across the board. And we should probably think about different percentage for the regionals. I also like the comments that and I believe this myself, in that the our reliance on this as a fundraising activity, we should try to minimize this as much as possible, because I do believe, as others have said, that it's more about the community. Yeah, so I'd like to take this up in Q1, if possible. So nothing further to add.
I would agree. I would also like to point out that the 40% increase, just in context, it's $2.50 a month. It sounds massive, but it's a cup of coffee. So, and it isn't a fundraising thing. Membership should never be about fundraising. It's about helping part of our community, hopefully all of it at some point, but part of our community feel more responsible, more part of what we do as a foundation. It does help pay for some of the things, but it isn't our primary. I mean, it's not a major source of fundraising. We probably spend more on members than we currently receive in member benefits, in member dollars.
I do have a question, however. My question is, it is my understanding that the organizations in some cases, like for example, the third-party training providers that you get as member benefits for being an OWASP member, I believe those are gifted to the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Has any studies been done in terms of, well, if we increase the price X%, we could actually pay for additional member benefits that we may not be able to get for free, thus potentially increasing potentially dramatically the number of members that would actually join?
No study has been done, but the reality is that we were about to, and I've discussed this with Kelly just briefly, I'd like to be able to go to our current corporate members and say, you can offer a member benefit. I don't think they know that they can. So I don't know what's available for free right now, but yeah, fundamentally, we do some quid pro quos with one of the sponsors, but we'd prefer it if it was free, and also we'd also much prefer it if it doesn't involve a lot of work for us, like they use Google authentication or some sort of discount code we can provide via a mail out or something like that, rather than something that requires operational work on our part.
Andrew, just to touch on your point, I've been sending this draft email to the staff for a couple of weeks now, and now I know membership is with Harold. I just resent it. You are on the email about reaching out to our corporate supporters.
Yep.
Just because I don't know if there's any guidelines to these benefits that they can offer, but I did have a draft email that I sent that I just want to get some feedback on before I do send it out to the corporate supporters.
Sure. I also met with a corporate supporter this morning who wants to offer a member benefit, but he doesn't know what form it will take at the moment. I'll contact you after the meeting about it.
Okay.
Avi?
That's all awesome. And I want to reiterate, free is better than paying, and quid pro quo is a nice compromise as well. One of the vendors that is offering a benefit, it costs us a lot, the quid pro quo, but it still really, really pays off. A lot of people sign up because of that. So I wanted to turn this to be more actionable. Yes, offering all our current supporters, you want to give us something, you can go ahead and do that, right? And sometimes that works. But I'd like to be more targeted. Steve, what do you think would be a good example of a benefit that would be really useful? Because we've had benefits that might be interesting for corporate and are at zero interest for an individual member. So let's try and drop some ideas of what those benefits would be, and then go after them.
I would love to. And I think a lot of that, we talk about community a lot. And I think, in my opinion, there's a lot of untapped communities that we are not even engaging with right now. You've got like the Rust community and the Go community and on all these different language ecosystems. We've typically done Java conferences in the past, not OWASP, but a lot of OWASP members have. But there's a lot of other like communities developer communities that are just completely untapped. What we might want to consider is thinking about like doing some market research in terms of identifying what are their challenges. Because I can guess all day long, but it may or may not be accurate. I like to find out like what are their challenges and how can we solve that, whether it's through cheat sheets or whether it's through some kind of member benefit that we can provide.
I like the idea. And it's always better to have the conversation, this is the cool stuff you have at OWASP, join us, than it is to say, hey, we need more money, please give us more money. One of those is, I mean, they're both accurate ways of fundraising. One of those is a much better conversation to be having.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments on that line item before we move on?
I just want to say what you said about that grab. One of those is begging, one of those is selling. To turn this into outside of a discussion, Andrew, do you think we can go ahead and do some kind of polling? I don't even know what to be asking at this point, but this kind of market research, I think, starts with a simple poll of our existing members and maybe the wider community to find out what are the types of things that would be useful.
I still want Copilot.
Don't we all? That
Microsoft.
Is a great example, by the way. That is universally important, useful. So.
Yep. But yeah, I still think that there's more discussion to be had on this, and in the new year. So that still might take.
I'd certainly suggest that the new board, when they meet in January, which is one of the items that we've got coming up, discusses getting a small group of the board members together to actually go through both the individual membership rise and the corporate membership rise, but also looking into the value proposition.
Yeah. And I suggested that we have as a target during the by the end of the first quarter to have an increased value proposition, which will allow us to, together with that, raise prices.
Yep.
The next item on the agenda is the board membership liaison update. When we met in September, we all took away various committees that we were going to act as the liaison for, the shepherd for, to help either ensure that they continue the good work they're doing, or in some cases restart some of that work. Have there been is there any progress on any of the committees you guys were working on? I could start with one of the committees that I was tasked with, which is marketing. We have found someone in our community who's prepared to pick up that role. He's already told me that he would much prefer that we don't call it marketing, because marketing means selling, and selling is not something you do to technical people, at least not easily. And they should call it communications, because really what this committee is going to be doing is helping to find ways for projects to talk about the good things they're doing in a better, cleaner, more easy to use manner, and communicating what we're doing as a foundation to individuals who can potentially offer us money, or who might want to sponsor some projects or help create some grants. So he's asked if we can change the name of that committee to the communication committee, because he feels that's something that they'd be doing more of than actual marketing. I have started putting together the charter for that committee, and once it's ready, I will bring it to the board for approval, and hopefully we can get it kicked off before the end of my tenure. Any other progress being made on any of the other committees? I can pull up the list if we need to.
Yeah. So Grant, I see that you sent me, and I can't find them for the life of me. I know they just emailed me, the two individuals for the education committee.
Yep.
I see that they just emailed me, well, sent an email today, so I'll need to reach out to them. And we will all meet and hopefully have a great discussion about that. Harold and I briefly met about it, I guess, to kind of get me up to speed as to where that committee is. So there, I would say for now that I'll have more of an update after I speak to the two individuals. I can't remember the names. I apologize for that. And I can't seem to find the emails either.
Adrian Winkles.
Yeah,
yeah, it's Adrian Winkles, and I would put up the email, but unfortunately it's in amongst all my emails.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you putting those individuals in touch with me, and let me reach out to them, and then I'll have a better update next time.
Cool. Sam, you will probably want to pay close attention to what Ricardo's doing there. You're also having discussions with one of these individuals around something you mentioned a little earlier, but just to make you aware.
Okay, thanks.
I was talking to somebody who might be picking up the diversity committee, diversity, inclusion, and equality committee. She's not ready to commit until towards the end of the year, so I'm going to try and ping her again, try and nail that down. Then of course we need to get the rest of the committee going, but we need somebody to lead that. I hope it will work out. No commitment on that yet. I also talked to somebody who would have been amazing to pick up the events committee, but he was more interested in joining the projects committee, which seems to be a lot of good interest there as well. So that's good. So I'm still drawing blanks on the events committee.
Cool.
Well, other than Martin.
Anyone else have any updates?
I do. We had quite a few people applying for the chapter committee. And it looks good, to be honest, the people who put themselves forward. So Carl and myself will be hopefully updating you after our next meeting in December.
Good, Sam. It's a requirement. You can't leave the committee hanging with you joining the board. So I'm very glad you got it sorted. I never had a doubt, of course.
Steve and Kevin are doing their job.
So the rest of the board, I'll catch up with you guys individually around progress, and if there's somewhere I can help move things forward. Policy subcommittee update. Avi, one of the more complicated aspects of what is coming out of the changes to our bylaws and the policies that need to reflect. I know that you did briefly hand that over, but I understand that you're back in the saddle again.
Yeah, so that got frozen on my end from a variety of things: COVID, holidays, war, the usual. Yeah.
Trifecta.
I don't remember who I handed this over to pick up the slack. I think nothing actually moved on that, but things seem to be got back to normal here, so I'm trying to pick that back up. I don't know if I'll get on top of that this week. I'm a bit behind on my OWASP commitments. So either this week or next week, I'm gonna try and put together a list and start getting that subcommittee working on that.
Okay, just a reminder, it is key, and we'd like to try and get to a point where we at least know how big the problem is going into next year, so we can get a handle on it.
Yeah. Adjacent to this is, of course, the bylaws as well.
Yeah.
I've taken the bylaws back over from Alyssa, and I will be contacting again the people who are holding out for whatever reason. I honestly do think we'll probably end up with one or two people who will just not communicate with us. And the lawyers are either going to just have to accept that, or because we just can't keep on kicking this can down the road. It's got ridiculous. It's been over a year.
Well, at this point, we need to just get as many signatures on that paper as we can, because we need to change the bylaws. We need to make them clear and make them current with what we need to do, with what we are doing.
Yeah. So
for the new board who may not have followed this as closely as the current board, I will bring it up in our session a little later today.
Sorry, do we have a completion target date here?
For the bylaws?
Yeah.
I would like it to be signed and go into the next year with new bylaws.
So basically the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It needs to happen ASAP, because without that, there's a knock-on effect, right? There are a lot of things that are reliant on that happening. So Andrew, if there's some way that you need help there, I'm going to volunteer Harold, who has been very quiet on this call so far. If only just so I can see Harold and have him say something.
Nice.
And of course, we want it by the end of the year. We're basically saying mid-December.
Yeah. I mean, we just need to convince the lawyers. I think that at the end of the day, we've got 25 odd people who are prepared to sign. And if we've got people who are refusing to communicate with us, or we can't get in contact for whatever reason, they're not going to make a fuss, I don't think, about the fact that they weren't included. We've tried hard.
Yeah. If you need me on that call, Andrew, I'm happy to join it no matter what the time of day is.
Okay.
Speaking about getting things kicked off early, this is actually a topic that mostly excludes Vandana and I, because this is the January board meeting. And this isn't actually the January board meeting itself, it's the planning meeting. So prior to the first board meeting of the year, a new board will meet and start talking about, the ideas they have for the year and how that's going to fit into the strategy that the foundation has. We need some proposed dates, and there were some emails sent out to try and get dates on that. Did you guys actually land on some dates that make sense?
I think it was the Thursday that I put out, but there was a discussion about time. And maybe
that was preemptively closed.
It wasn't preemptively closed. It just closed because it went far enough. Hang on, I check while I get the doodle.
Because it's been open for months.
No, I came in 3 days later. It was closed. That was the problem.
Let me just bring up the doodle.
As far as I remember, Ricardo could only make Monday that week.
Yeah, the Thursday it was 5 5 members.
I can make the Thursday if needed.
Sorry, which day of the week is that?
January the 11th, 8:30 to 12:30 Mountain Time.
I love watching Avi do time zone math.
Yeah. I'm good for that. I'm not on
Me,
the
Avi.
It's waiting on
Okay.
Ricardo.
So Kevin is the only one that we don't know about just at this very moment then.
I'm sorry. We don't know about what for Kevin?
January 11 at 8:30 Mountain Time. I think that's 9:30 your time. And to 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time on January the 11th.
I can make myself available.
Perfect. Lock it in.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good. Excellent.
So Andrew, please send out that meeting invite, and everyone just make sure that you have that slot available. I recommend you plan more time than you think you're going to need, and half the number of words you want to say, because you'll find that the time flies. Speaking of time flying, there is also a proposal for a board summit earlier in the year. Usually the board meets at the 2 global AppSecs in person. That isn't always possible. In fact, we as a board this year didn't manage to meet at both global AppSecs. And if it's later in the year, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. So having something in Q1 is ideal, because you'll have some discussions around the things you want to do, but you really want to get into like, all right, how do we pull this elephant apart and start eating it? Because there's a lot of work to be done. I recommend that you find some time in the first 2 or 3 months of the year to actually meet somewhere. And if it can't be an in-person event, like in the case of the September board summit this year, not everyone was able to attend in person. Plan to be living on a different time zone while you attend remotely, and it's hard. The remote members can attest to that. Your body, you still go through jet lag, so it doesn't really help you. You go through jet lag without the melatonin helping you at all. But planning something for January is quite difficult. So February and March are ideal. I don't know who wants to lead this discussion. Avi, I guess, as the vice chair and the only person who's going to be on the board in that position this year.
Not the only one.
Well, as the vice chair, I won't be on the board next year as the chair. So do you want to?
Yeah.
I've tried to sell those.
I'll finally jump on that. I do want to say that when we met in Amsterdam, the board summit in Amsterdam was incredibly useful, valuable, and amazingly productive. As I mentioned in the comment, even when we would meet at the Global AppSec, we usually get maybe 1 day, and even that is exhausting and interrupted. I found the board summit to be way more productive. We did, I think it was 3 days together, and then a few of you had a few other things, right? Grant, you and Andrew had a few other tasks. I think that's fantastic as a baseline. So we have 2 questions around when are we talking about, and then around where are we talking about. As Grant said, Q1 would be great. January is probably not an option, so we're talking February or March. Does anybody have any constraints around that? And again, we're talking, say, being there Monday to Wednesday at the very least, plus travel time.
Sorry, being where?
So I was going to say, the way the board is currently weighted, it probably will mean a US-based summit rather than a European one.
All right.
We could all come to Ricardo. Let's all go to Ricardo's house. Doesn't have to be.
I mean, it will save money on meeting rooms. Just take over Ricardo's living room.
Sure. Okay. So no constraints on mine, but it would be helpful to nail down a venue and a dates and times, because the challenge I had, and I had to shuffle a lot of things around last time, was that you know, I don't think that stuff was nailed down. So it kept moving, kept shifting, the dates kept moving. So it's very hard. I have a very stringent schedule as it is now. So to move things on my schedule is like moving a mountain 3 inches to the left. So the longer lead time you have on that, please, the better.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why we're bringing it up now. So just hypothetically, if I were to say the middle of February,
Valentine's Day,
third week of February, would that work for everybody?
Yeah, I might have a constraint because at the beginning of February, I have a eye appointment. I have cataracts, and so I'm going to be doing a surgery somewhere in February and March. I don't know. Like, there's some things I have to do. Then they do surgery in one eye, and then I recover, and then they do another eye. And since I can't meet with the doctor until early February, I won't know how. Is that a 2-week thing or like a 2-month thing? Or I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I just know February and March, I might not be traveling because my eyes might be all wacky. So
Do you think it would make sense, Bill, for that to aim for the end of February? Is that give you a better chance of attending?
If you really want to do it, like, I think my appointment's like February 4th. They're obviously not going to do the surgery the very next day. So early February for me is after that appointment is probably like more safe than anything else that follows, unless we're talking like end of April or May. When is it? It's February 6th is when I'm seeing it's like a 4-hour appointment to check out my eyes. So I could fly out
that's not the operation?
That's meeting with the eye doctor to figure out like operation, measure my eyes, and get everything scheduled. But I don't know what their schedule's like. I don't know if, and I won't know until February 6th. They won't do anything until I meet with them, and then they'll figure out when they can actually do my eyes. So it might not be until March. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if I meet with them February 6th, I know for sure, like the next week or two, I'm not doing so like February 13th, I think, like the February 12th week, I can probably do it because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be doing the surgery that week because I just met with them the previous week.
I thought you were saying the other way around. Is anybody a strict observer of Valentine's Day?
No.
Sam?
Yeah, I also have 2 movable dates in February because I'm speaking at a conference on the 7th. So I guess it's right next to Bill's date. So that's out of the question. And then 22nd of February, I'm running the OWASP London chapter event at Google headquarters in London. And it took us over a year to secure that date. So, yeah.
Maybe we do our meeting in London and then we can all go.
I don't hate that idea. However, was Bill suggesting that as our treasurer?
You got to pay to fly people somewhere, so
yeah. So March,
I'm good for London.
no specific commitments for March, and then maybe we should look at March if no one has anything coming in March.
Don't necessarily need to decide the exact date right now. We can do this offline. We don't need to do this.
Sure, just set up a doodle and basically start throwing dates. And in terms of venue, was it a hotel where you met last time, Grant? Is that right? Okay, just to hire a meeting room in a hotel somewhere?
Yeah, so what we found works well is literally an airport hotel. So you fly in and you walk off the airport into the hotel, and there's usually meeting rooms there. They're usually quite inexpensive hotel rooms. The only downside is the food tends to be somewhat monotonous. Dawn.
You still have to go back to the banks in Europe since the bank accounts didn't get moved. So if so, would you go to the same area?
So I can actually go once I've rolled off the board and move on to the EU board, I can actually go and do that with Martin.
Okay. Will you need Andrew to do it?
Shouldn't do. But if we do, then it would just be a matter of getting Andrew over here.
Okay, thank you.
That's one of the knock-on effects, by the way, Avi, that I was talking about earlier with the bylaws needing to be done first. But thanks for the reminder, Don. Right, so there will be a doodle going out, and there will be a board summit. Does anybody have any other business?
Let's say end of January also could work.
The longer we have a lead time, the cheaper the airfares are, especially if you do decide to go to London. London can be inexpensive to fly to, as long as you're given enough time.
Yeah.
And you really have to look for decent hotels, because that's one thing that's expensive here.
Grant's house.
I want to remind you, I live in London. There isn't a whole lot of room in my house.
I just want to note that Edmund has been a guest for the entire meeting. Edmund, we normally do need to have an item for the agenda. Is there something you wish to bring up?
Nothing at the moment. No, thank you.
Okay, no worries. I'll get back to your email as soon as I can.
Of course.
Thank you, Edmund. Sam.
Yeah, not really an item for an agenda. It's just more probably for a reminder. We do have our member benefits, and I've been informed that at least one of the companies who provides our member benefits are due for renewal, and the contract expires very shortly, and they've been waiting for agreement signature, Andrew. So I know.
Okay, I'll get onto that straight away.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I've been buried in LinkedIn, and yes, emails just going shh. Okay.
Yeah, with that being said, the next general board meeting is 19th of December.
Yep.
It is earlier. Pay attention. Take notes. It is earlier because of the holiday season. So hopefully we'll have our November financials by then. And so it is moved. And do I have a second to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you, Ricardo. So it's moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Hold on, Grant and Andrew, can you stay on with me for 1 minute?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
The future board members, we have got a meeting scheduled a little later. Feel free to take a couple of minutes and join at the normal time on that call.
Grant, do we need to stay back as well?
You can join that call if you want to, Vandana. It's just I'm just going to be running the future board through some of the things we discussed in September.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Are we starting at the hour in 17 minutes or start?
Yeah, I think so. So everyone can get have a break and grab something to drink or something.
Great.
And Grant, just to confirm, that's not a Zoom call, right? That's a Google Meet.
That's a Google Meet, yeah.
Okay, thank you.